Alright, what's good y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So now it is officially October, and it is a very busy month in gaming. For whatever reason though, not for Pokemon. With the exception of the TCG Pocket game coming our way at like some point within the next coming month or so, Pokemon has been quiet on pretty much everything. I didn't even realize that we didn't get our annual August Direct at all. That's super strange. However, like I've said over a million times at this point, even within the last couple of videos, them being quiet and just working in the background, grinding out whatever they're planning to give us for the next year or so, is nothing short of a good thing. This could be the result of them learning their lesson of not only revealing things way too early, but releasing them even earlier than they need to be. And now it's been almost a full year of radio silence? That is super intriguing. And so here we are sitting here in our thoughts, twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the inevitable Pokemon Presents that's going to be given to us in February. So as you've seen from the title and thumbnail, this is somewhat sort of a predictions, but also half of a like hopes and wishes type beat, because half of what I'm probably going to talk about in this video is like the obvious stuff that we're going to get. The other half is things that I'm kind of hoping for, but maybe kind of expecting. We'll see what happens. You guys determine how ridiculous I am with what I'm gonna say in this video. That's up to you. Anyway, why don't you go ahead, grab a little snacky snack, probably some strawberries and probably a big old bowl of barbecue sauce, and let's talk about some of the things that we might be able to expect going into Pokemon in 2025. So why don't we go ahead and get started with scenario 1, which is the February Direct. The February Pokemon Presents is the one thing that's always guaranteed every year because it's very early in the year, quarter one, so it's the perfect time to announce what kind of games and things that we're going to be expecting throughout the course of that year. Now, it is very possible that Pokemon could very well show up in the next inevitable Nintendo Direct, and it wouldn't be the craziest thing either. Pokemon has shown up in plenty of Nintendo Directs, but it just seems like they would rather save all of their major announcements for their own Pokemon Presents. And given the fact that Nintendo is gearing up for the Switch successor, I feel like that's going to be their primary focus within the next Nintendo Direct. I could be wrong, but I don't see Pokemon having too major of a place in that Direct when they could show off everything in the February Presents. But again, I could be wrong. So, moving on here, what will that February Presents contain? Well, it's very safe to say that they're probably going to go for their usual shtick and show off the apps and what have you, with Pokemon Sleep to start things off because nobody plays that. They're going to talk about Pokemon Cafe Remix. Nobody's going to talk about that update for sure. They're probably going to add something kinda, sorta, somewhat maybe neat to Pokemon Masters EX, maybe a new outfit for somebody. Whatever, I don't really care. And they're probably going to talk about, I don't know, Golden Go coming to Pokemon Unite or something. I don't know. I don't know who plays these games. I don't know who's keeping these things afloat, but somebody's doing it. So the 5 people that do see these things are going to be so incredibly excited. So that's definitely going to be a thing for the first couple minutes of the Pokemon Presents. And then, of course, by law, they're going to absolutely have to talk about like the next couple episodes that are going to drop for Pokemon Horizons. That's definitely a given considering how far ahead the anime is. They kind of been dropping episodes at random. You never know when the next batch is coming, but it's never usually too far away, which is pretty impressive. But you know, whatever's clever, they're definitely going to talk about that, and that's going to be something I will be watching. And then, of course, by the time February rolls around, that means that we'll have had the TCG Pocket game for a good while now. That one's probably going to take up a good chunk because they're going to want to talk about all the major events that's going to be happening with that, because that's going to introduce a lot of new players to the TCG, and it's going to be, oh my god, disgustingly overwhelming probably, but you know what? It's a damn good idea. Can't really blame them for it. They're going to take every advantage possible to make sure that that game succeeds. And that especially means taking up a fat time slot in the Pokemon Presents. Absolutely. They'll probably have some cool events set up in different places around wherever you may live here and there so that everybody can have a chance to participate and maybe get some cool packs and things like that for a participation award, or maybe a winner's award if you want to, you know, hop into some events or anything like that. I don't know, I'm just taking some guesses here, but hey, I could definitely see something like that happening. And then, of course, after that, we'll finally get our first real glimpse of Pokemon Legends ZA. I cannot tell you how that game is going to look, how it's going to play, how it's going to feel, but that first trailer is going to give us a general idea. I hope that it looks good, and hopefully it's running properly and well on the Switch successor, because we'll probably have an idea of what that looks like by that point. Now, the release date for this is going to entirely depend on when the Switch 2 comes out, because if it comes out around March-ish, something like that, I could absolutely see Legends EA having some kind of like early summer release. A nice little RPG to play during summer break? Sounds like some peak to me. That's exactly how I experienced Persona 5. So yeah, I think I could see something like that working out. Now, here's the thing. I feel like Legends EA is not going to be the last thing they announce. I feel like they're gonna have one last thing, one more thing for the end of the year, for the holiday season of 2025. Now, what that thing is, I don't completely know. I have a couple of ideas that may sound absolutely ridiculous, but maybe also not all that ridiculous. This is where the hopes and wishes part comes in, by the way, if you didn't catch that. I can't imagine a situation in which they're fully aware that a new Nintendo console is on its way, and they don't take the opportunity to actually utilize that time to have something developed for the end of the year. I would be beyond shocked if Legends EA was our end of the year release. I can't imagine a situation where we go almost 2 full years without any mainline Pokemon game. That would be insane. So, with that brings us to scenario number 2, the possibility in which we get an announcement for a spin-off game. This is the possibility in which they actually went out of their way to have somebody work on a spin-off game for the Switch 2 so that they could also have something major to release at the end of the year to capitalize on that new Nintendo console holiday money. No shot they pass that up. Now, obviously, we have no idea in hell what a spin-off game could be if that happens to be the case. So, I've narrowed it down to what I feel would be the most likely games that we could see at the end of the year in 2025. Let's check this out. One of them is Pokken Tournament 2. But Soul, you're an absolute buffoon for thinking they would go anywhere near Pokken Tournament again with a 10-foot pole. Why in the world would you think they would do anything like make a sequel? People actually want that. They wouldn't do that. Hey, you know what? You could absolutely be right. I could be absolutely dumb for considering the possibility that they contacted Bandai again for the possibility of a Pokken Tournament 2 and have had them working on it all this time. But, I mean, come on, is that really all that crazy to believe that that's a possible thing? A Pokken Tournament that's actually dedicated to the Switch's design? I don't think that's insane, especially because, in my eyes, Pokken Tournament DX is far from a failure. They passed the million threshold, and that's no small feat. It would also give them an excuse to bring back tournaments and things that people could get invested in long term, and that's absolutely something you would want not only for your franchise, but for this brand new console as well. Something I'm sure Nintendo would be very happy about. People purchasing Switch 2s so that they could get Pokken Tournament 2 to, you know, run tournaments and things like that. That's nothing sort of a benefit for everybody. And what better market to dive into than the fighting game community? I could absolutely see a very realistic future where we get another Pokken Tournament. I'm just putting that out there. The next realistic possibility is a situation in which we really do finally receive that Explorers of Sky remake. Of the few that I have listed here, I feel like this is absolutely the most realistic. Mystery Dungeon DX sold pretty okay, probably the best selling in the series to my understanding, so I can't imagine a situation in which they don't hire Spike Chunsoft again to make the most popular, most highly requested game to get a remake, which is Explorers of Sky. And they would absolutely need something that's going to be highly anticipated throughout the year. Now, while I do feel that Pokken Tournament 2 would definitely fit that bill, I think that Explorers of Sky is very much in tune, if not more in sync with that ideal. That is for sure not the word I was looking for, but anyway, I truly do believe that Explorers of Sky DX does fit the criteria for a justified remake. Explorers of Sky in the DX style, people would eat that sucker up. So yeah, I could for sure see a future in which that's our holiday release. Now naturally, of course, this last one would have to be something a little more unprecedented, but something that still fits the criteria for a fitting release for the holiday of 2025. Something not too incredibly invasive, something that works well as a spin-off, and something that could potentially show off the brand new mechanics and tools that we have with the Nintendo Switch successor. Hey, here's an idea. What about a new Pokemon Ranger game? Don't worry, I will be the first to admit that of the three that we've talked about so far, this is absolutely and by far the most ridiculous idea that probably won't come to fruition. However, I don't think that it's all that ridiculous. I mean, come on, Pokemon Snap, a very well-beloved spin-off game, finally got a remake within the last 2 years. I don't see any reason as to why Pokemon Ranger couldn't get the same. Now, of course, this all completely depends on the toolkit that we receive for the Nintendo Switch successor. I don't think they're gonna make it so that we have to throw our hands or arms in a circle to capture Pokemon. That's why we didn't get it on the Switch. It would never have worked. However, I could absolutely see a situation in which they make the Switch successor something that accommodates DS games, because we know for a fact that they're not going to give up NSO. We're going to get that update that eventually gives us a bunch of DS games, especially for the Switch 2. And to do something like that, they need to introduce a mechanic that makes it so that we could have those DS games work properly on NSO. And I have to imagine that introducing something like that would make the concept of a new Pokemon Ranger game very much possible. You can call me delusional, you can call me insane, that's absolutely fine. However, I don't see a situation in which this is impossible. Unlikely? Absolutely. I see them porting the Pokepark series before I see them ever touching Pokemon Ranger with a 10 to 20 foot pole. But impossible? I don't really think so. If there's one thing that Pokemon Company and Nintendo love to do, it's to hit us with the unexpected. And bringing back Pokemon Ranger, that would absolutely be unexpected. Kind of like how they just recently brought back Mario and Luigi. I'm just putting it out there, yo. Besides all that though, there is a very real future in which we don't see any spin-off game announced, and they are 100% banking on the TCG app to get them any money they need that they would have gotten from a spin-off, and probably much more. So yeah, I don't really know, but you know, if this TCG app does really well, there's a very real future where we don't see any more spin-off games, ports, anything of the sort, and that is a very unfortunate future, but realistic future to live in. So I don't know, I guess we'll have to play that one by ear. Another random scenario possibility is the reality in which we do get another mini-series, specifically one that's targeted towards advertising Pokemon Legends ZA and touching up on that lore. Hey, if Pokemon Legends Arceus got one, I can't imagine a situation in which Pokemon Legends ZA doesn't, especially if this game is supposed to be the superior, biggest next step of Pokemon. I could easily see a situation in which they announce it during the Pokemon Presents, and then maybe we don't get it until early, maybe mid 2025, or there is a chance they've been working on it for a good while now, and we do possibly see it at some point in 2025. Probably during the holiday season. I could be wrong, I don't know. We'll have to play that one by ear. And then lastly, of course, this is among the scenario in which they don't announce a spin-off for us. It's not impossible that this time the Legends game actually does receive proper DLC. I could absolutely see them doing that and selling that as its own thing during the holidays, so that way they at least capitalize on something and they make a little more money off of Pokemon Legends EA and get as much mileage out of that as possible. But that one is definitely the biggest stretch here. If we're gonna get a DLC, it's more likely to come out in 2026 so that they give themselves a little more leeway and a little more time to work on the next major project. So I don't know about all that, but you know, I could see them maybe announcing it, if not at the beginning of the year, maybe later in the year. But you know, maybe I'm a little crazy. But so far, that's about my thoughts on Pokemon in 2025. I know it's a little early for this one, especially since we have 2 entire months to go for this year, and it's not impossible for another Nintendo Direct to come through probably in November showing off Pokemon Legends EA, because if they do that, that's going to throw off 2025 for Pokemon in a nutshell. It's gonna be crazy. So I really don't know what to expect. This is just a guesstimate. I could be wrong. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is just predictions based off of what we've seen with Pokemon for the last couple of years during the Switch era. However, given the fact that it's been very quiet this year, it's not impossible that they actually switch things up and change things around on us. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's just me. Anyhow, I think that just about wraps it up for this one. So you know what? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just immediately pass the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always gonna be down with you guys. Do you think I'm absolutely insane for thinking any of these things are gonna come to fruition, and that next year is gonna be just as empty, if not more empty than this one? Or am I on the mark? Am I hitting the money somewhere? And some of these ideas seem a little more realistic than others. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking below, because I'm gonna be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and do just that. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm Gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.